gals, non-binary pals, welcome to Board Game, the game show presents The Interview, the game show where I interview, right now, a board game celebrity. We discuss their life, we discuss their projects, and then you have a chance to win fabulous prizes. Let me introduce my guest for tonight, who hardly needs an introduction, so I'll just bring her on the screen. One, Elizabeth Hargrave. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you, Bruce?
You know, I'm doing well. This is the third episode of this that we've done for Gen Cant. The wheels have not fallen off. No one's gotten hurt yet, so we take it all as a victory. We feel like we're winning at this point. At the point that people have won prizes, everyone seems happy, and that you are here to join us.
It's hard to argue with free games, right?
It really is. I feel like that has got to, if nothing else brings people here, they have to come here for the free games. Tonight, if you look at the bottom of the screen, it'll tell you there are the top 5 players in tonight's game are going to get a copy of Tussie Mussie from Button Shy Games, and you have agreed to sign one of the copies. We were not able to ship that out to you quickly, so we will get one out to you to sign so that you can send it to the eventual winner. But 5 people, and right now, if my numbers are correct in the top corner, only 4 people are here. So if that stays that way, all of you are leaving with a game, and that's wonderful. You came to like the best party. I'm going to put this on the screen. Nicholas Baker says hi.
Hi, Nicholas.
Hey, Nicholas. Welcome to the show. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm going to jump real quick over to the game part of it and just show everybody how it's going to work. If you're out there and you want to play and you want to win a copy of Tussie Mussie, right now on any web-based device, I would say you probably want that to be a phone or a tablet, something that's not what you're watching the show on. Go to crowd.live, put in the code CQZZN or CQZZN if you're from Canada or England. But put that in your phone. It will put the game up. You'll see the interview with Elizabeth Hargrave right there. And later in the show, we're going to talk about some fantastic 50-50 questions. And you're going to have your chance, if you can guess Elizabeth's answers, to win copies of Tussie Mussie, which we had discussed this earlier, not you and I, but Suzanne and I, who runs all of this, that Tussie Mussie actually was the winner of the Gen Cant design competition.
That's right.
Yeah, that was
back
one of the reasons.
In 2018. Yeah.
So that was back before you were Elizabeth Hargrave in capital letters.
Yes. So I had finished my work on Wingspan and it was in the process of being printed and it came out at the beginning of 2019. So I was kicking around looking for other things to do and I saw the announcement for the Gen Cant design contest and threw Tussie Mussie together in a month and got it in by the deadline.
Wow. Hey, everybody else out there that designed for that competition, 1 month.
It was incredibly refreshing to work on a game that was only 18 cards after having finished the 170 cards for Wingspan.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
As a note, I'm sure you can see it on the screen. Kristen wrote that she hearts Wingspan.
Hey, Kristen.
But yeah, no, I would imagine like not being a design type. Because I think you and I have even discussed this at Unpubs, because I want to say it was like Unpub 5, I think, was where we first met each other. Because I think we had that like weird dinner where they just sat random people together.
Yeah, that was my first Unpub.
Yeah, and you were working on Wingspan, and you were like, I got this game, and I got this plan. And I remember hearing it thinking like, oh, I hope someone makes that game, but I don't know how a game about birds is going to do, but I hope it does wonderful. And
I remember you were very into the concept of the birds killing each other.
Yes, very much so. Because I was like, I want to see this thing made, but I legitimately did not know if the market was going to accept the game that it became. And it's been such a pleasant surprise to see that it has. Like, you've opened up just a whole new part of what board games are going to be, at least for the time being. And that is just so cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that was really my spark for making it in the first place was being not excited about all the traditional board game themes and wanting to see something that I was excited about. So it worked.
That is so awesome. But I remember I could almost see disappointment in your eyes because you were very design heavy. I've got this. I've taken all these notes. I'm ready to go. And I was like, I'm just like a dude. And you were like, but you're here. And I was like, yeah, I really kind of like what everybody's doing. I love that projects are happening. And you were like, oh. I thought there'd be designers here. And I'm like, oh, unfortunately, you drew the short straw. Everyone else in the room is exactly the people you're hoping to save. And you were like, okay, cool. But yeah, no, I still remember that's why we're doing the Unpub shirt for today.
Nice.
I wanted to at least do that little throwback. Makes me happy. So then a question I have for you before we talk about your new projects is, and I'm glad that you got us there, is so the themes that you work on are very different than the themes we have been seeing in tabletop gaming forever. So do you sit with a mechanism or a mechanic, however you want to say it? I don't want to get in that debate with anybody.
Right.
And like, do you say, okay, I have this, I know how these cards are going to work. What can I find in life I want to make a game out of? Or do you find the thing in life and say, how can I take this and build it so that I can play it on a tabletop?
So far, it's always been the theme, the thing in life, the cool, like, oh my God, this cool thing exists in the world and everyone should know about it and play with it.
That's
and
awesome.
how do I make that? How do I make a game feel like that thing?
That is super cool. So then you've got one you're working on right now, which is the reason I'm wearing the hat. So tell everybody about the project. I believe, is it officially released at Gen Con? I know all the press is right now, but I don't know if the game is out right now or not.
It was supposed to be a Gen Con release. That has slipped a little bit because of the pandemic. So, August 28th is the retail release. And it's straight to retail. It'll be in stores the 28th. So Mariposas, it's a game about monarch butterflies and migrating up and down the east coast of North America, or all of eastern North America. Yeah.
Okay. So then what does that look like? And I only ask you this because I want you to, if you would not mind teaching everyone a little bit.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know about this is I got the hat. And when I got the hat, it is minor league teams were able to switch their logos for a promotion they were doing. And I got it because I just thought it was pretty. I was like, that's such a pretty hat with a pretty butterfly. And I remember saying on an appearance somewhere, I have no idea why they took it, but I think it's super cool. And someone sent me something about the migration patterns of butterflies, and I found it so fascinating that they sort of are always in the same places and they end up in the exact same migration patterns. So like, what is this game representing? Like, what exactly is it trying to teach us?
Yeah, so not all butterflies migrate, but monarchs have one of the biggest migrations of all of them that do. So they overwinter in central Mexico, in a state, mostly in the state of Michoacan, which is kind of near Mexico City.
Okay.
If you can picture that. And then they spread out in the spring, they head north, and over the summer, they are all over eastern North America, like everywhere east of the Rockies and as far north as Canada.
Okay.
So that's like 2,000 miles that they cover north to south. And then they have several generations of babies throughout the year, and then it's the fourth generation that goes back to Mexico. So no single butterfly ever actually makes the round trip, but somehow they know to do it every year.
Wow.
It's really crazy. So that was sort of the, like, this amazing thing exists, and I can picture how it might play out on a board. So the board for Mariposas is a map of eastern North America, and you start with one little butterfly meeple in Mexico at the beginning of the game, and you play it over 3 seasons. So in spring, you're trying to get north and start reproducing, and in summer, like, people really start getting more and more butterflies out on the board. You're spreading out. There's different objectives.
Okay.
And then in fall, there's always one objective. There are some variable ones, but there's always one that's get as many butterflies as you can back to Mexico for the next year. So you end up seeing the meeples moving around on the board very much like the animated maps that you can see of the actual butterfly migration. It's pretty cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So, like, how long does it take you? Because I mean, and if you wouldn't mind also talking about Wingspan, like, how long do these take you? Because I feel like the hardest thing to do is to like see a thing and then say, oh, I'm gonna figure out how to take that thing and wrestle it into cardboard and make it fit, and then furthermore make a game out of it. Because I used to work for North Star, so I used to talk to, I know you know Dominic.
Yeah.
And one of the things for Dominic was trying to figure out how to take some of these complex systems and make, like, not just a realistic simulation, because you could essentially do that with dice and cards and protractors, but to like take it and actually make a game out of it that a person would choose to play past the theme. So like, how long does it take for something like Wingspan or like Mariposas?
A long time. I mean, I feel like I've gotten faster. So
Okay.
Wingspan was definitely like Wingspan was years before I felt like it was pitchable.
Okay.
Like I think 2 rounds of unpub
Okay.
at least. And that was, I had a job. It's in my spare time. I took breaks. And the same with Mariposas. Like I started it years ago and had set it aside. And then after I finished Wingspan, along with doing the little Gen Cant contest for Tussie Mussie,
Yeah.
I picked that one back up again as well. So it was like a long break. I don't know what the total elapsed time was, but it's like, I mean, a lot of people say you want to play test a game like 100 times, right, before it gets published. So, like, for an hour-long game, just the play testing alone is a lot of time. And then on top of that, it's all the work in between the play tests, because after every play test, you have feedback that you're incorporating and trying to make it better for the next time. So it's a lot of time.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So then if you're looking at a decision while you're going through these play tests, and your decision sits at the corner of, I can either make the game, and this is such an like an inconsistent word, so I apologize for not having the precise language, but I can either make the game more like fun, or I can make it match the subject matter better. If you're at the horns of that, which way do you go when you're designing?
I would say fun, as long as it's not like untrue, right? And the trick is finding that balance. Like, you don't want to go so far in the, like you were saying with Dominic, you don't want to go so far in the direction of accuracy that it becomes like this weighty simulation that has no fun to it. You have to simplify and simplify and simplify and get to like, how can I tell the story and have it be fun, but not get bogged down in the details?
Fair. We have a question here in the chat, so let me pop this up for you. You've talked about how much resource management and economies are present in nature. Can you talk more about this and give some examples? Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I'm trying
A.
to
Frank.
think, like, that was one of the things that was going through my head as I was like starting to think about Wingspan, was the fact that we play all these games that are about economics, and that there is a certain amount of supply and demand, and certainly competition for resources in nature, right? And so in Wingspan, that plays out mostly with the food, that different birds on their bird cards have the specific foods that they want, and there's only one dice tower for everybody, and so the supply of food sort of ebbs and flows over time, which certainly happens in nature with the seasons or with droughts or whatever. And so, like, that sometimes it may be easier or more difficult to get certain types of food. So that's a little bit of a hint of that kind of thing there.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't get too heavily into the economics of it in the end, but it's an inspiration sort of thinking about the fact that you could.
Very cool. Very cool. So what is like the next thing you're working, like what's the next thing you're trying to model? Like, I realize you're probably, if I would guess from what we're learning about your process, is like you've got one that in like 2023 is going to come out. And so, like, what processes are you working on modeling right
now? Right now, I've been taking a break because I hate playtesting on Tabletop Simulator.
Very fair. Very fair.
And I just wrapped up the Wingspan Oceania expansion, which was quite a bit of work. And I've been doing like a bunch of data collection for the next Wingspan expansion. I have a game signed with Pandasaurus that is another sort of nature/science themed game that they are not talking about yet. That's in development. But yeah, so that's sort of the same lag of like this time last year. That was Mariposas that was signed but not finished with development, and so that'll maybe be next year. We'll see.
Very good. Very good. So another thing I'm curious about, because like clearly there is a certain like type of theme that you make games for. Your very much, at least thus far, in this
That's
like
fun.
real science nature space. Is there any theme out there you want to see a game made for? You may not be the person making it. Like, because I often see this come out. I see you, quite frankly, on Twitter, quite frequently, not frankly, but that's the word that came out. Quite
Right.
frequently on Twitter, you'll like have an idea and you say, hey, somebody should do a game about this, but it's not me. Take the idea, because I'm never making that game, but someone should. Are there like one or two of those you'd really love to like, that really resonate with you, that you really would love to see someone do?
You know what I had started working on, and actually brought to Unpub last year, and is totally like, let's workshop this crazy idea I have. I had started a dexterity game about stunt people. So they're like jumping through hoops and off buildings by flicking them.
Okay.
But that is even harder to play test right now, it turns out.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of on the shelf for now.
I'm
Maybe
curious to
someday.
see what an Elizabeth Hargrave dexterity game about stuntmen looks like. Like, I'm super excited about that.
And it's stunt people because it was actually
No, you're right.
inspired by, the origin story is that I have a habit of reading obituaries, which started when I worked on the Hill. Our speechwriter in my office swore by reading the obituary page, because there's so many like interesting, just human interest stories on the obituary page. And so I read this amazing, I forget her name now, but the obituary of a stunt woman who had like set all these land speed records, but also did like super complex like body stunts and all these things. So that was where the inspiration came from. And I was just like, how is there not already a game about stunt people? Like,
I feel like the only place I see them is like kind of in the video game space. There are
yeah.
But I have not seen them in the tabletop space. I actually was watching a thing about stunt people today, as a matter of fact, and the gender disparity came up because they were talking about how the last movie where they put that in the 80s, have you ever seen any of the crazy stunts in the 80s? If it was an actress that was playing the part, it was normally like a physically smaller man that was the stunt double. There's one of the Wayans brothers movies actually makes a lot of fun of this, because the person is an African-American woman, and every time the stunt double comes in, it's a Caucasian man. And like the Caucasian man's on camera a long time in a wig, so that they can super point that out. And they were saying that the last movie where they did that was Kick-Ass. That the young lady in Kick-Ass was doubled by a man in a wig. And they said that after that, that was the last time in Hollywood that was acceptable anymore. That it is changed in Hollywood, that is not how you do things, because so many amazing stunt women have done so many really, really cool things over the years that they're like, why are we doing this? Why is this brand of sexism still in this industry? You can't hide behind like there aren't the people to do it anymore, because of exactly what you're talking about. That, you have land speed records being broken and all these choreographed stunts and all these. So you can't say anymore like, well, we just don't have the people. The people are there. And they were saying like, that was the last movie where that was considered like an acceptable practice in Hollywood, and that now everything has changed since then.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was super cool. I randomly learned that today, and I'm glad. I did not imagine it was going to come up for this. I could not have guessed. I figured I was just going to hold on for as much nature and science as I could and try not to sound like too much of an idiot. So let's do this. Let's jump into the game.
Sure.
I'm going to set this up. If you're out there, if you want to play right now, get on whatever device you have with a web browser. Go to crowd.live, put in the code CQZZN. CQZZN. We're going to go through, as we have for the other interviews, if you've watched them. We gave Elizabeth 20 questions. She picked the 10 she wanted to answer. I will also make a note out there. We talked about this. Stephen Bonacore did the same thing you did, which was one of the 50-50 questions he answered with like an essay. You did that for one as well. You were like, well, all answers could be viable under these circumstances. So I'll let you know. Most of the questions
for a lot of the ones I didn't choose too. I didn't choose a lot of them because I was like, oh, I don't know.
And that's what we don't want. That's exactly why you're handed a ton of questions, is so you can pick the ones that you have a passionate feeling about. But one of them came over with, well, maybe like this, maybe like this. So you're going to find one as we go through out there, folks that are watching. It's going to be very specific, and there is a reason for that, because we wanted a very clear delineation in what your answer was. We have 12 players in the game. I'm going to wait maybe another 20 seconds, and then we're going to start this up with our 10-second count in the beginning of the game. Remember how it works, folks, is we did ask 50-50 questions. They're going to come up on the screen. They're going to come up on your phone. Pick the answer you believe Elizabeth gave us. If you're right, the faster you answer, the more points you're going to get. At the end of 10 questions, if you have the most points, you're getting a signed copy of Tussie Mussie from the fine folks at Button Shy. If you're in the next 4 places, you're still going to get a copy of Tussie Mussie from Button Shy. So a lot of copies out there. 12 people in the game, so nearly half the people playing are going to leave with a prize. Congratulations, everyone out there. So let's do it. Let's start the game up. Do I want to start the timer? Yes, I want to start the timer. 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Watch your phones. Here we go. Bird in the hand or 2 in the bush? I decided I want the maximum number of bird questions and bird pun questions I can get in. You're going to see a theme for a couple. I feel like at the point you were kind enough to come on the show, I have to do this while I have the opportunity.
Right.
So let's see how the room answered. 80% figure 1 in the hand, 20% figure 2 in the bush. Which is it?
I'm going to say 2 in the bush.
2 in the bush. That is the correct answer. Why?
Yeah, this was one of the ones that I was, it's very close. I've participated in bird banding before.
Okay.
So you actually get to hold the bird in your hand before you release it, which is an amazing experience. But it's also kind of traumatic for the bird.
I could imagine.
So, and more birds is always better.
Very.
So I was thinking about this very literally and not like in the metaphorical sense.
I had a feeling, I want to be honest with you, that is part of the reason I set this up as one of your questions, because it was like, I bet if she takes it, it's going to be incredibly literal. I can only begin to imagine. And then there's a note up there. Remember, there's a delay in YouTube. Watch your screen where the questions come up. Always important. I usually mention, I apologize if I didn't again, your phone is the ultimate referee and scorekeeper, and there's never a time where YouTube is going to come directly to you at the second that we say it. So by all means, please pay attention to your phone through this game. That is incredibly important, and since it's about speed. There's a note from 3 Gear Studios. Hey, 3 Gear Studios. If you'd like to play, you can win prizes. Right now, see at the bottom of the screen, it says to play. Go to crowd.live and enter the code CQZZN. Go to crowd.live, enter the code CQZZN, and you might win a copy of Tussie Mussie, and it might be something. Who knows? Who knows what could happen?
Yes, indeed.
Two people got that right. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Peep Dish leading with 56, Madbana in with 19 points, and everyone else did not get that right. There's a lot of game left, folks. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get... So that means what happened was one of 2 things. Either A, the delay killed people and they were paying attention to the screen. My fault. That's Bruce. That's not you out there. Or they stared at the screen going, I can't even imagine. Did she take it literally? Because literally it's probably 2 in the bush. But maybe it's 1 in the hand. Like, I want my marshmallow now. I don't know if I want to wait for my marshmallows. But so I only hope that that's why the numbers are low on this one. Let's jump into the next question. Flamingo or ostrich? Once again, I have you on this show. I have to ask this. I have to ask. I almost gave you nothing but stacks of birds, and I was like,
this one was super easy for me too.
Very good. So let's take a look. Let's see how people felt. 64% think flamingo. 36% think ostrich. What do you think, Elizabeth?
Definitely flamingo.
Flamingo, the correct answer on that one. So why?
Many reasons. They're pink.
Okay.
Just this past winter, I was down in Mexico, and we went and found the flamingos on the coast of Mexico, and they accumulate in these huge flocks. It's really an amazing sight, and they have weird beaks. I have a thing for weird beaks. And wading birds in general. I grew up in Florida, so like all the big water birds are kind of my favorites in general.
Very
Ostriches,
cool.
I just don't like have a personal connection to at all.
I understand, and I've met ostriches in the zoo. I've met an emu, and emus are just real mean. So anything that reminds me of an emu, I'm not real into. So I can understand that.
Yeah, I think ostriches kind of have a similar reputation.
That's what I've heard, and I was
nice.
hoping this wasn't going to be a "Don't Meet Your Hero" situation where you answered ostrich, and I had to figure out why that would be a plus for you. Because even right here, I have these, so I have the occasional like yard flamingo just around as mascots.
Right, they have a whole sort of pop culture existence too that I definitely approve of.
Let's see what the leaderboards look like. Pete Dish leading with 139, Trisha with 92, Corey H with 88, Bebop with 87, Hot Chip with 80. Remember, top 5 are going to be taking home copies of Tussie Mussie. I will warn you out there. I've warned everybody, every one of these shows. If there's a tie, we have no plan for that. I want to be straight with you in the beginning. If we end up with a tie, especially around 5th, I don't know what's going to happen. I think people in the tie might get a copy of the game, but I don't want to guarantee you that I may not have to send you an email where you pick a random number. So just be prepared for that. Don't be mad if you're on the cut and we have to do something like that. There's a note here. Someone has come up to, well, first of all, we have a note. This quiz is such fun. Thank you, Frank. And apparently, like Emu, we're giving Emu a bad rap.
Oh.
We got to pet for like 10 minutes last time we went to the zoo.
I mean, people do like farm them. I don't know. Maybe they're docile, nice birds. I don't know.
I used to see someone that raised emus, and the emu that I met took my hat. And the only other thing I remember is, if you look it up, I don't know if it still is, but the U.S. Emu Growers Association logo looks like the NBA logo, but instead of Jerry West, it's an emu. Because she used to have it on the back of her car. I don't know if that's changed since then, but I remember that used to present me with almost infinite amusement every time we would be around each other.
It's presenting me with kind of infinite amusement that you dated someone who raises emus.
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I have like a random side story that somehow applies to something we talk about here. Let's move on to question number 3. Summer or winter? Summer or winter? Both available, both possible. Both have birds. I'm just trying to think of anything to fill the time that seems like it can make it a 50-50 for you.
I feel like I've answered this question in other interviews indirectly. So some people might know.
That's possible. We found because I know you were telling me you watched it, the interview with Sen that we did. I don't know if you got all the way to the 50-50 game, but if you had gotten that far, like the first 5 questions were super obvious. They were like, you just did a Scooby-Doo game. Do you like Scooby or Snoopy? You just did a Godzilla game. Do you like Godzilla or King Kong? You just did that just seemed to be that was what he picked.
So a question that interviewers ask me all the time is, how did you get into gaming? And my answer is, I was on a ski retreat, but I hate winter weather.
Well, that may explain why the room went 92-8. They may have seen those interviews and came prepared. Of course, you picked summer. Summer's the answer. Let's go to the leaderboard. Peep Dish leading with 225. Trisha at 188. Bebop at 178. Rocksteady still not in the game. Corey H, I believe, also at 178. I'll wait for that to come. The Sam Squatch has shown up. And Hot Chip solidly in 5th with 170. Remember, top 5 are going to be getting prizes. So there we go. I didn't ask you that one because I figured by now you have to have answered that 100 million times.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It is also why I have avoided intentionally asking you how gender and gaming work. I didn't feel like that was a bit of path I needed to tread here. Not just for any amount of heaviness it may bring, but I feel like that's probably already been done. We're going to move on to question number 4. Flower garden or vegetable garden? This one I found, like, for me as an outsider guessing, was very tough. When I saw your answer, I was like, not shocked, because shocked is a very strong word, but I don't think I would have gotten it right if I only had 15 seconds to answer, like all of you that are playing the game in the chat. So let's see how everybody
Let's
answered.
see.
69% for
Oh.
flower garden, 31% for vegetable garden. Which is it?
I mean, it's hard. I have both quite extensively. But if I had to pick one, I would say vegetable garden. I just, like, for dinner tonight, I had a big salad with, like, green peppers and carrots and tomatoes and zucchini that were all from my garden, and it was amazing.
Very, very cool. I don't know why I would have guessed flower garden, but when I looked at this was for me the like, where I know I would not have gotten it right. Only 31% got this right. Let's take a look and see how that affects the scores. Cabbage King coming out of nowhere, the very king of cabbage at 238, Pete Dish at 225, Trisha with 188 in third place. Let me take a look at the next two places. Colleen at 180, X of 4 also at 180. We have that tie, thank goodness. That tie is around fifth place and not fifth and sixth, because once again, I don't know how we're going to break that. I
feel like it's very appropriate that someone named Cabbage King rose to the top on the vegetable garden question.
And I feel like that had to be, if I'm out there and whoever you are, if I'm named Cabbage King, I answer vegetable without even reading the question. I'm like, oh, it's my question. If this is the sword I die on, I'm okay with that. But know that this is absolutely an appropriate and perfect time to see you take the lead. Let's move on to question number 5. Snakes or spiders? Snakes or spiders? And we were talking about this before the interview began, that, like I send everybody 20 questions and I do try to tailor them to things I think the interviewee is going to care about. Like I wanted to try to pick kind of a little more naturey than I may for some other guests. But I've noticed that every chance that any guest has had to like take the wheelhouse I handed them, they have gone with. And this was one of those. Snakes or spiders was one I was like, okay.
This one was definitely in the like, I could see both sides of it.
Okay. Well, let's see how the crowd felt. The crowd thinks 62-38 that you would definitely go snakes.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick snakes.
Very good. And you had to pick one. That's the whole point of what we're doing here. Yeah. So why snakes?
I don't know. That's just kind of a gut reaction.
That's absolutely fair. I think the best thing you can do is have a gut reaction.
But they're both critters that like a lot of people feel uncomfortable about, and I enjoy both of them.
Very good. Let's take a look. Cabbage King still in the lead with 312. Peep Dish with 308. XO4 with 276. When the board comes back, I'll read you your fourth and fifth place. Fourth place, Bebop with 264. Trisha with 188. Colleen 8 points back for that fifth place slot. Fifth place is the final place that will be getting a copy of Tussie Mussie, unless there's some sort of tie. And then once again, I have no idea how we'll work those out.
A copy's only $12. We could probably work something out.
We could probably do that. And technically, I think Button Shy was kind enough to give the entire convention more copies than I just have here. So I may have to just tell the rest of the convention. Or I guess I'm not even going to tell. Let me not act like I have the kind of power to tell anyone anything. I will politely ask the rest of the convention if they could take one of those copies and unbury the problem I've gotten myself in with a tie in this game. Let's move on to question number 6. Tent or RV? Tent or RV? This was my attempt to kind of move a little bit away from nature directly and move into
so far.
I tried to pull a little bit. I promise you folks, before this is over, some of these are like food and pop culture, but right now, this is where we are. Let's take a look and see how everybody thought you'd answer. 64% for tent, 36% for RV. How did you answer?
I answered tent. I will admit that my husband and I keep daydreaming about getting a camper van. But like a large RV, I just can't imagine driving the thing.
They do seem daunting.
Yeah.
Like, I agree. I love the idea of them as well. And then I see them and I'm like, I don't think I could drive a bus. So I'm not sure I can drive one of those.
And they burn so much gas.
Yes.
And then they're annoying in the campground because they're running their generators to run their AC or whatever. And you're stuck in your tent with no walls. So you hear the whole thing. Yeah.
Let's see how the scores look for that. Bebop in lead with 359, XO4 346, Cabbage King 312. This was clearly not the one for you, Cabbage King. I'm sorry. Let's take a look. Fourth place, 308 for Patricia with 280 in fifth place. A 6-question game. 4 questions is the most anyone has gotten so far, which is good. It means people are learning things, and that's
a challenge.
Let's move into question 7. French toast or French fries? Here we go, folks. We finally moved it. It took 6 questions to get it out of nature, and I think we dip back into it before this is over. French toast or French fries? I believe maybe one of the biggest battles of French cuisine we are going to see, especially here on this show, folks. Let's take a look. 79% going French toast, 21% going French fries. How did you answer?
I hate French toast.
Really? So let me put that up. Just that French fries is the answer, but I need to know, because I'm not used to a strong opinion anti-French toast. So why do you hate French toast?
It's either like dry or soggy, and like I don't know. It's mostly a texture thing. I don't know. I don't like it. So I'm not a fan. It's like egg and bread, but fried, and like it seems like those things should go well together, but they don't work for me. I don't know.
So then, what are your opinions on like pancakes and waffles?
I like either one of those better than I like French toast.
Okay, but like, are those considered, like, in your mind, if you know you're headed to a place, if you're headed to a brunch, and you know those are going to be there, are you like, you'll accept those? Like, if given French toast, which you clearly have a strong negative opinion about, of course, you would take one of them. But do either one of them, like, make you happy to see at brunch? Or would you, in your best life, just not mess with any of them?
Out of the 3, I would like be most happy with pancakes, especially if there was like a lot of fruit to put on the pancakes.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry. I needed to know, because I've never. I expected to have a preference. I didn't expect to have a strong negative reaction to either of these.
It might be strong. I will eat French toast, but I'm not excited about French toast.
Well, I mean, and you shouldn't, especially with something like French toast, if you're not excited to eat that, you shouldn't eat that. French toast is a whole production. You're right. It's bread, it's eggs. We got to fry the thing. We got to pour stuff on top of it. Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's take a look and see how the scores look for that. Cabbage King back in lead with 381. Corey H with 367. Bebop with 359. XO4 with, I believe, 346. I tried to read it fast enough before the whole thing moved on me. And Peep Dish with 308 in our top 5 positions. 3 questions left. 30% of the game remaining. You still have a chance to get in here. A note here. French toast still uses eggs. I can't tell if that's a statement or a question. I'm not sure.
Yes,
I don't.
It does.
Yeah. It does. I mean, I guess.
Problem.
If
I would rather just have the eggs. Toast on the side.
Can you deconstruct it? I want deconstructed French toast. Can you give me bread, butter, and eggs separately? Cook the eggs. Leave the rest alone.
And hash browns on the side, which moves in the direction of the French fries. That is what I really want.
Let's move on to question number 8. Which would you rather participate in, a science fair or a spelling bee? This is the one, folks. Presented with science fair or spelling bee, I got back not 2 words. I got back sentences. And that is why we're here. Which would you rather participate in? So clearly, depending on the situation, you have a preference for both of them.
So I was a horrible science fair participant. I was terrible at coming up with science fair projects to do. And it was always like a last minute thing, or I had an idea, but then like the whole experiment never actually like resulted in results that were different from each other. There were many science fair disasters in my life. I am a very good speller.
Well, there you go. The correct answer. Spelling bee, 1 player got that right. 90.
I could see why this would be misleading.
This is why I laid it out exactly as you see it. Because, and I think, here's my guess, is that a lot of people look at your most successful game and say that that would be the winner of a science fair somewhere. That if you could merely present that process, that if you are big head, tiny bodied, 9th grade, you win all the everything. And it's my only guess as to why they would pick that.
Yeah, I mean, so the essay that I sent to Bruce was that I did not enjoy participating in science fairs, but if I had to attend one, I would much rather like go look at the exhibits at a science fair. So yeah, part of the problem is that I went to super geeky high school, and so like, you know, I was competing against people that went on to become very accomplished PhD scientists and physicians, and you know, the first employee of Google and people like that. So, you know, I had no hope.
I can understand why you would choose a spelling bee. Let's see who this helps. Peep Dish at the top with 394. I think Peep Dish might be the one to have gotten it right. Cabbage King 381, Corey H at 387, and I'll wait for the whole thing to tick back for me. Bebop 359, XO4 346. Benny! I hope I didn't hurt anybody's ears. I said it because there's an exclamation point, and I try to pronounce all the exclamation points that come in front of me. Is in 6th place. Solid distance back, but don't worry, there are still 2 more questions remaining. Here is question number 9. The ability to teleport or the ability to stop time? Which would you want? We love a good, like, weird sci-fi superhero question here every now and again. I have to be honest, I didn't think you were going to pick this one out of the stack. I did put it out there just in case, because I thought you have answered it. So it will be a fun thing. I can't imagine anyone's asked you in a public forum.
It's true.
But I was not sure this is one of them that you would take.
There were so many that I was like, oh, I can see both sides of that. But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
69% going with the ability to teleport, 31% going with the ability to stop time. But how would you answer?
Yeah, I said teleport.
There you go. Any particular reason, or just you have no desire to stop time?
Yeah, the stopping time thing kind of freaks me out. But teleporting, I'm like, there's tons of places I'd like to visit, right? Like, that would be awesome.
That would be us, and that would be an incredibly efficient way to do it. Let's take a look at the board. Cabbage King with 456, Corey H with 455. It is a 1-point game at the top for the signed copy of Tussie Mussie. This is intense. This is as intense as this game will ever get. Bebop in 3rd place with 434. Once we click right back around, I'll take a look and see what our 4th and 5th look like. Peep Dish at 394. Benny at 380. Trish at 370, so you're right in the hunt. This is the final question of the game. Each question in this game is worth 100 points. At the end of 9 questions, where the scale slides the whole time, 1 point separates 1st and 2nd place. Get ready, stare at your phones, hands on buzzers. Here we go. Final question of the game. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? Which is it? Yes, out there, your chance to win a game or a signed copy sits on pineapple on pizza. And I can only hope that whatever your answer is to this, you are prepared to defend it. Because this is the one. This is I bury like one internet controversy question kind of in the stack to see if you'll go for it. And thank goodness you did. Let's see how the room felt. 64% say yes, pineapple on pizza. 36% say no. What do you say?
I say yes.
Yes.
I'll eat pineapple on almost anything. I love pineapple.
It's just good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what everyone's problem is.
And it gets all caramelized on the pizza. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I happen to really love, if you're out there and you haven't tried it, and you have no moral obligations or problems with what I'm going to present, pepperoni and pineapple is amazing.
I could see that.
Yeah. I happen to be a big fan of that and a proponent of it any chance I get. So we're about to find out in just a second. Pineapple on pizza was the one that determined it. We're going to find out who our winners are. Here we go. Let's reveal them. Winning with 553 points, jumping up. Corey H is our winner. You are going to get a signed copy of Tussie Mussie, Cabbage King with 541, Bebop with 534, Colleen with 457, and the Sam Squanch somehow managing to make it up into the top 5. The Sam Squanch with 437. All 5 of you have won a prize. To claim your prize, please contact me on Twitter at BG The Game Show. I will get your details. I will give them to the right people. For Corey H., Elizabeth has not signed your game yet, so we're going to have to send it to her and then get it sent to you. So it's going to be a little while, but I promise you it's going to happen. It'll be a thing that we're going to make happen for you, but please just be patient on that. Let's take a real quick look. There was a lot of comments in the chat once we got to pineapple on pizza. So sweet and savory together. I agree. Pepperoni, bacon instead of ham and pineapple. A good call. Red onion, I also really like on there.
Yeah.
Pineapple for the win. Corey agrees with both of us. Pineapple and tagine on pizza. I could see that. Huh. I always mispronounce that because I always pronounce it like I think I've pronounced that wrong, but I know what you're talking about. It was always explained to me as beer spice. Just like Ric Flair. That's what I get for just clicking on things. And a note from Well Done from Mad Bono 1. Thank you to all of you out there for playing. Elizabeth, let me get this off the screen so that it can just be us so we can talk for a second. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this because you had no idea what this was going to be. You got lucky because at least you agreed to it before you could look at what it was going to be. Yes. So you went in completely blind, and I can't thank you enough, both for what you do for gaming and for diversity in gaming, and also personally what you've done for me by being willing to come onto this project. Thank you so much.
Oh, this is fun. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you so much. And to all of you out there, thank you for being a part of this. Remember, Gen Can't is not over. There are still more things on the Gen Can't docket. I believe very soon is going to be karaoke. Check all your places. Check all the things that are going to happen. And if you want to follow what I'm doing in 2 hours on Twitch at the Party Gamecast is going to begin our part of the Jackbox Pajama Party. So we're playing Jackbox all night. If you want to check that out, please do. If you want to check out, Elizabeth, tell us all the games, all the places, all the things you would really love people to buy.
Yeah, so the next one up is Mariposas out on August 28th, straight to retail. I have a website, elizhargrave.com, and a newsletter that you can sign up for there. I'm very active on Twitter too, Eliz Hargrave. So, yeah,
absolutely.
That's how to find me.
Very good. Thank you so much. Enjoy what is left of your Gen Can't. There's still a lot to play through, a lot to do, a lot to see. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of your Gen Can't, rest of your weekend. Enjoy next week. Be safe, be clean, be good to each other. And between now and the next time I see you, go play some.